1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Sumaira Kamal. First, the headlines. Prime Minister has directed all PTI leaders to take effective steps to make organizational structure of the party strong. Foreign Minister has stressed on reviving Joint Economic Commission between Pakistan and Romania to further strengthen bilateral relations. Army Chief has stressed on urgency to swiftly devise an institutional mechanism for channeling humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan to avert a looming catastrophe. Saudi Arabia has acknowledged the professionalism of Pakistan Armed Forces and vowed to enhance cooperation in various fields. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred 2 Kashmiri youth in Kulgam district today. In Myanmar, a court has sentenced detained ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi to 4 years in prison on 3 criminal charges. Now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has directed all PTI leaders to take effective steps to make organizational structure of the party strong. He was talking to Minister for Planning Asad Umar, who is also Secretary General of the party, in Islamabad today. The Prime Minister also asked for making party workers active to ensure the party's success in the upcoming local government elections in their areas. PTI Khyber Pakhtunkhwa President and Minister for Defence Parvez Khattak, PTI Punjab President and Minister for Education Shafqat Mahmood, PTI South Punjab President and Minister for Industries and Production Khusro Bakhtiar, PTI Sindh President and Minister for Maritime Affairs Ali Haider Zaidi, PTI Balochistan President and Deputy Speaker National Assembly Qasim Khan Suri, and PTI Additional Secretary General Amir Mahmood Kiani also attended the meeting. In a tweet today, Imran Khan urged the international community to take note and act against extremist agenda of Modi government posing threat to peace of the region. He said under extremist ideology of the BJP-inspired Modi regime, all religious minorities in India have been targeted with impunity by Hindutva groups. The Prime Minister said the continuing silence of Modi government on the call at an extremist Hindutva summit in December for genocide of minorities in India, especially 200 million Muslims community, begs the question whether the BJP government supports this call. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has stressed on reviving Joint Economic Commission between Pakistan and Romania to further strengthen bilateral relations. He was addressing a joint press talk along with his Romanian counterpart, Bogdan Lucian, in Bucharest, Romania today. He said both countries have immense potential in economic cooperation that can be tapped through bilateral economic activities. The Foreign Minister expressed hope that this tour will help boosting bilateral economic relations of the two countries. Shah Mahmood Qureshi also invited his Romanian counterpart to visit Pakistan, that was happily accepted by Bogdan Lucian. Romanian Prime Minister Nicolae Ciucă has lauded Pakistan's role in context of Afghan situation. Talking to Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi during a meeting in Bucharest, he also appreciated the cooperation extended by Pakistan for the evacuation of Romanian nationals from Afghanistan. In his remarks, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi expressed Pakistan's desire to help a broad-based relationship with Romania. He said improvement in bilateral relations between Pakistan and Romania in different fields in recent times is a manifestation of the vision of the leadership of both the countries. The Foreign Minister also apprised the Romanian Prime Minister about situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, as well as Pakistan's positive role in Afghanistan. Pakistan and Romania have signed a Memorandum of Understanding for cooperation in the field of education. The MOU was signed by Bucharest Polytechnic University of Romania regarding provision of scholarships to Pakistani students on permanent basis. Pakistan's ambassador to Romania, Dr. Zafar Iqbal, and Rector Bucharest Polytechnical University, Mahnia Kostovio, signed the memorandum. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi and his Romanian counterpart Bogdan Lucian were also present on the occasion. This is Radio Pakistan. Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa has stressed on the urgency to swiftly devise an institutional mechanism for channeling humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan in order to avert a looming humanitarian catastrophe. According to Inter-Services Public Relations, the Army Chief said this during a meeting with the military advisor to Minister of Defence, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Major General Talal Abdullah Al Utaibi in Rawalpindi. The two sides discussed matters of mutual interest, regional security, current situation in Afghanistan, and bilateral defense relations between the two countries. He said Pakistan values its historical and brotherly relations with the kingdom and acknowledges its unique place in the Islamic world. He further underscored the importance of peace and reconciliation initiatives in Afghanistan. The visiting dignitary acknowledged the professionalism of Pakistan Armed Forces and vowed to enhance cooperation in various fields. He also appreciated Pakistan's role in Afghan situation, special efforts for border management, and role in regional stability. Minister for Planning and Development Asad Umar says National Command and Operations Centre has played an active role and commendable role against COVID-19, which is being acknowledged by the world. He was addressing prize distribution ceremony among workers who rendered their best performance in the anti-COVID vaccination drive in Islamabad today. Asad Umar also commended performance of doctors and other paramedical staff in the fight against pandemic. The Minister for Planning said the government handled the pandemic with the support of the nation. He said virus still exists and we should continue our fight against this pandemic by observing precautionary measures, including wearing masks. He asked people who completed their 2 doses to take the booster vaccine. Minister for Science and Technology Shibli Faraz has said the upcoming local government elections in Federal Capital will be held through electronic voting machines. Addressing a news conference in Islamabad today, he said the government is cooperating with the Election Commission of Pakistan regarding the use of EVMs. Shibli Faraz said the commission will be provided with the machines next week for testing and training of staff for local government elections in Islamabad. He said the Election Commission of Pakistan has also asked the Punjab government to make arrangements for the use of EVMs in its local government elections. Shibli Faraz further said the use of EVMs in local government elections will ensure that the elections are possible through these machines. An 8-member delegation led by United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator Julian Harness called on Governor Sindh Imran Ismail in Karachi today. They discussed natural resources, its conservation, and problems confronting to the country. A prospective plan to save Pakistan's resources using it with wisdom and reviving environmental system was agreed on the occasion. Talking to the delegation, the Governor Sindh said that government is focusing on resolving the health-related issues on priority basis. He further said flagship Billion Trees Tsunami project will help in overcoming the impacts of climate change in the country. Julian said the visit of delegation is aimed at focusing on dealing with the problems of good governance, health, education, youth development, controlling population and climate change. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred 2 more Kashmiri youth in Kulgam district today. According to Kashmir Media Service, the youth were martyred by the troops and paramilitary forces during a violent cordon and search operation in Husseinpura area of the district. In Myanmar, a court has sentenced detained ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi to 4 years in prison on 3 criminal charges. According to AFP news agency, she was found guilty of 2 charges related to illegally importing and owning wireless sets and one of breaking coronavirus rules. And finally, the weather. Cold and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country, while very cold in hilly areas during the next 12 hours. However, rain with snow over the hills is expected at few places in Gilgit-Baltistan, Kashmir and adjoining hilly areas. Dense fog is also likely to prevail in Upper Sindh and plain areas of Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. To end the news, here are some of the headlines once again. Prime Minister has directed all PTI leaders to take effective steps to make organizational structure of the party strong. Foreign Minister has stressed on reviving joint economic commission between Pakistan and Romania to further strengthen bilateral relations. Army Chief has stressed on urgency to swiftly devise an institutional mechanism for channeling humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan to avert a looming catastrophe. Saudi Arabia has acknowledged the professionalism of Pakistan in armed forces and vowed to enhance cooperation in various fields. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analyses, log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/radio Pakistan News Official.